Madam Speaker, do you have anything to say to, and perhaps you have already, I'm sorry, if so, anything to say to the Republican members who helped you override the governor?
Well, of course I am very grateful for their courageous vote. I think that they took a vote that was not easy, that they felt a lot of pressure about, but I know there is no question that folks like Representative Hamilton in his district felt this was absolutely the right vote to take to improve the roads for his, particularly farmers in his district and truckers in his district. And he and I spoke about that many times, that it was very important to him, and the support of the commodity groups in this case was very important to a lot of rural members and their vote.
Madam Speaker, did you promise the Republicans anything special to get them to vote for this bill?
No.
Can you face the
Sure. No, I did not. What I did over the weekend is that I made contact with most of them directly, and as throughout, what I did was listen to what their concerns about the bill were, and I tried to, working with Representative Leader, and he was listening to their concerns as well. We tried together to respond to those concerns and craft a solution that would address them and be able to help move the state forward. And so it was very important to us to play this on the transportation bill, to not bring in other issues, to not threaten people, or I heard the terms twist arms. I'll tell you, you can't twist arms through a phone. You really have to hear what people are saying, and I hope I acknowledged and heard what they were saying all along. I think that was really important.
When the budget forecast comes out on Thursday, there are going to be some, especially Health and Human Services interest groups, calling for another tax increase so that spending cuts don't have to be made. What are you going to tell them, given the fact that taxes have gone up?
Well, we are going to wait till Thursday because we don't know exactly where it's at in terms of the budget deficit. It's likely worse. But we also are going to reserve our right to use the tools in the toolbox that are going to make for a solution at the end of session that can be signed by the governor, because no one is served by turning over our ability to vote and represent our constituents to just the executive branch. And so we are very focused on that. I think that there are many tools in the toolbox that can be utilized in the rest of the session here. And I do think it's important to say that, covering 37,000 Minnesota children more with health care last year was important to our caucus, and we want to preserve that. Putting $800 million more into K through 12 education and early ed was important to us, and we're going to try it. We're going to work to preserve that as well. The gains we made last year are very important, but we could do this bill because this is a user-financed bill. This is a bill that is largely off on the side without a lot of general fund impact, and we think that that is very important. People get what they pay for in this bill, and that's an important tenet of good policy and fiscal policy in this state.
Madam Speaker, if you find further on in the session that an income tax increase or closing corporate tax loopholes or something like that is necessary to balance the budget, have you got enough support to do the same kind of thing you did here today, except on those items?
Well, I think a lot of folks think we should close the corporate tax loophole, so I think we'd have a lot of support in the chamber for an issue like that. I think that, it's issue by issue around here. There is a strong majority in the House of Democrats. We are always willing to work with our Republican colleagues to make bills better and to make them better for Minnesotans.
Did this change the relationship between the House and the governor?
I hope not, in the sense, I hope it's a positive change, if anything. I think that, we have always maintained a good working relationship with the governor. And I told many of you this weeks and weeks ago, that I thought the governor had gotten to a place that he really was in quite a box around the positions he had taken around the transportation funding issues. And that the only way really to spring him out of that box and spring him free was for the legislature to act bipartisanly and get the job done. And that's what we did today.
You said that you didn't do any arm twisting. Do you think there was anything untoward in the lobbying that went around here for the last 72 hours, either for the bill or against it?
it's hard for me to say any of that. I don't think so, but I have been kind of in a space of talking to a lot of members of the House, both Republicans and Democrats, and have not spent a lot of time talking to anyone out in the hallways right now. So it's been very much a time focused on talking to members of the House, a little bit talking to the Senate, but other than that, and going to a great hockey tournament with my daughter in Brainerd this weekend, where we got to spend a little bit of time together. And they won third place, and I thought that was a good omen as well.
What do you think of Republicans who voted for this bill being stripped of certain leadership positions?
Well, I think that, here's what I can say. I can't control what the Republican minority does to their members in terms of internal caucus politics, but what I can assure Minnesotans, if there gets to be a situation where minority members of the House are stripped of services to serve their constituents, I will not stand for that as the Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives. And I will assure you, as constituents and as Minnesotans, they do need services, and they will get them. And we have a long history in this state of backing that up. No member should ever feel that they are going to lose their ability to serve their constituents. And so I can't speak to the piece about internal Republican politics, but I can speak to the piece about serving your constituents, and it is their right to be able to vote and serve their constituents, and I will make sure of that.
Would you like one more?
Maybe not.
Leader? Yes. I know the number that this maybe a half of the MnDOT's need or something. It takes. They have a $1 billion need, and this is $660 million a year. But just in general, in human terms that folks can understand, how much of a dent does this put into the MnDOT and transit backlogs and so forth?
It really opens it up. Right now, if we wouldn't have done what we did, we'd really be slipping backwards. Really, to plug the hole, what they have now, you probably won't feel it that much because it's that bad. But I think we couldn't go any lower. If we would have gone lower, we shouldn't have had a bill. It was that. I think we reached that point. And when they talk about MnDOT, $1 billion or $1.7 billion or $1.6 billion for 6 years or all of that, we're not considering transit in that either. That's the problem. And so when we look at a transportation bill, while we have transit in this bill, it makes a dent in it, but it stabilizes things. Other than that, the source of funding is declining. I mean, it's flattened and it's going down, our revenue source. So what this does is it at least stabilizes, and I think the fact that in bonding, when we put that amount of money up front, that's going to let them do some things, which they couldn't do. They couldn't program those big projects because they didn't have the money. It wasn't the fact that they didn't want to do it, they wanted to do it, but if you program a bridge like the Lafayette or the Hastings, that's about over 1/2 of the whole state highway construction budget. And that's where the problem they had. They just couldn't program those jobs.
And Eric, if we could just add to that, I think that what you see is that for the last couple of years here, MnDOT has had to beg, borrow, and in some people's estimations, steal money from district to district. Under this bill, that should end. They should be able to use techniques to be able to get major projects done and projects all around the state. And so we think that's very significant, and folks, Minnesotans will see this money on the ground starting very soon in terms of the work that'll get done.
And as we're heading out, our work's not done for the week. We don't rest at the end of the day here. It's only Monday. Later on this week, you'll see us do some good work on a 35W victim and survivor bill. You'll see us do some work on a tax conformity bill and potentially a deficiency bill as well. So it's only Monday here at the Capitol. We've still got a lot more problems to solve, and we'll be doing that later. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.